me if you want to. Now, this is a video about the newly approved COVID pill with a 30% efficacy rate, about which I have no opinion. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a scientist. I've only just got this nice new woolly cardigan, and I'll tell you now, it's a bit itchy. So in this video, all we're talking about is the relationships between the FDA, Big Pharma, government and lobbying. We're talking about these relationships which can be demonstrated. Here are the sources. I have no opinion on this new COVID medication. It might be wonderful, it might not be. The indications from the clinical trials is that it's 30% effective, and I offer no opinion other than it is 30% effective. You could say that that's in a glass half empty type way. It's 70% not effective. To Her Majesty the Queen and her friends at Merck. An expert advisory panel for the Food and Drug Administration has narrowly voted to endorse the authorisation of Merck's COVID-19 oral pill for high-risk adults. The drug, known as molnupiravir, was recommended in a 13-10 vote after data were presented showing its modest effect on reducing hospitalisation. The decision was made despite members of the panel going back and forth on the drug's effectiveness, safety, and whether it could potentially aid the virus's mutation capabilities. Bloody hell, 10 of the 23 people went, oh, don't look at this. What if it aids the virus's mutation capacity? Well, that's 13. We like it. I was not convinced that the potential benefit outweighed the risk, said Dr. Pete Weiner. Don't be so bloody childish. The director of the Office of Research Protections at the Defence Health Agency. A final analysis showed that the pill reduced hospitalisation and death by 30%. Maybe that's good. I don't know. Maybe that's good. I mean, if you were one of that 30%, I'm sure you'd be grateful. Despite an interim clinical trials finding that molnupiravir cut the risk of both in half. A Merck executive said he didn't have a satisfying answer on the discrepancy. Do you have a satisfying answer? No, I don't have one. Well, can you bloody well get one? It's also unknown what effect, if any, the pill has on the Omicron variant. The efficacy of this product is not overwhelmingly good, one panel member said. I think we really have to be careful about saying that this is the way to go, said Dr. David Harvey, who still voted to recommend the drug. So even some of the people who voted for it weren't that bloody convinced. Okay, so let's have a look at how much it's going to cost. David Sirota, writing on Daily Poster, said, "We now routinely face immoral situations, like last week's news that pharmaceutical giant Merck is planning to charge Americans $712 for a COVID drug that only cost $17 to produce and whose development was subsidised by the American government." That is astonishing, isn't it? And it is indeed immoral. You paid for that, Americans, and now when they're selling it back to Americans, even though it's only 30% effective, they're charging 70 quid. It should be 30% of 17, given that it's 30% effective, which I think is about $8. No, 7. 6. Oh, damn you, maths. Sirota continues, that's just the latest example of the absurd paradigm. We take the risk of investing early in the product, but instead of that investment reaping us something valuable like affordable prices, we are rewarded with price gouging by the drug makers that bankroll the lawmakers who've rigged the rules and aim to keep them rigged. I've seen this a lot, haven't you? The expenditure of development is the responsibility of the public, and the profits continually find their ways into the hands and pockets of private corporations. Remember our oft recited paradigm that the job of government is to take money from you and give it to corporations. If you sort of see that as their primary function and the kind of pose of law and order as some sort of secondary dance and the imposition of a moral stance as some sort of bagatelle, some accessory to the primary function of extracting wealth from ordinary people and giving it to corporations, then things make more sense. They certainly don't make less sense. That's not a free market, it's a top-down command economy perfectly calibrated for price gouging, and the pharmaceutical industry and its puppet politicians want to keep it that way.